Hi, I'm Jennie Wolek, and I am here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, middle of America, and so grateful that you're spending your very, very valuable time with me today on one of my most favorite topics called our purpose. Now, this can sound so big and scary sometimes. I know that for me, was absolutely the case until I've taken some time over the years to work on it a little bit more and growing a little bit better at the clarity that I have around it. And I'll tell you, it's magical. Once you get going in the direction of your dreams, of why you're here on earth, of what your purpose in this life is all about, everything gets a lot more clear. And you are able then to focus truly on what matters most. And I just bet the things that matter most to you are probably not selling the most houses in your city. You probably instead know that the most important things are your health, your well-being, your family, your friends, your community. And so that's what's really changed everything for me in my real estate business. So here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I have a wonderful team. So our team here in Tulsa gets to help over 100 families a year buy and sell homes. And that's so cool. But what I'm really most proud of is that we get to give back to our community because we have that as a part of our team's mission and our team's purpose is that the more families that we get to help, the more we get to give back to our community, whether that's through donations or volunteerism or gathering donations with each of our client events. And so when we switched that from being our focus, everything changed. We were able to attract more people into our world, whether they wanted to join our team or whether they wanted to allow us to help them. So we have a team motto, and I encourage you to kind of think of what your team motto could be, or your own battle cry, or whatever little phrase it is that fires you up. But ours is help more, give back, have fun, and live large. And so we are always looking at how we're going to incorporate all of those words into who we are and what we do. So I got into real estate back in 2001. I was getting a little confused there because it's been so long. I just started my 24th year in real estate, and it's been fun, right? Those that have been around for a while, like me, we've had all the ups and downs and ins and outs. And even if you've only been around for a short period of time, you've probably learned pretty quickly that real estate is always exciting, can sometimes be frustrating, can definitely push you from like the highest high of excitement and joy to the lowest low of depression and sadness, all sometimes even in the same day. You know what I'm talking about. So, this is why we have to have purpose to help drive our success. We have to have a reason for getting up every day and doing this job. Otherwise, we'll burn out, we'll quit, we'll go try and do something else, but we're going to keep coming right back to the same place until we really tap into what matters most for us. Well, thank you for joining me on my journey. And I do have a Facebook group. It's called Your Journey with Jennie. I hope you're a member inside of the closed group, and I share tips and tricks and tools. I also have not just a Facebook page, a Facebook group and a Facebook page with the same title, but also where we'd really love for you to hang out is on our website, yourjourneywithjennie.com. You'll be able to find all kinds of goodness and resources and value there as well. I do also have a membership group. And those are for those people who know that there's more in them and want to just go ahead and put themselves on a fast track for success because they can borrow all the things that I have come up with over the years, all the failures I've had, all the lessons I've learned. So if you're interested in hanging out a little bit more, then let me know and I'll get you information on Maintain Your Momentum membership group. But for today, you get to hang out with me for an hour of your life, and I can't wait. But wait, hold on. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Now, of course, that's not me. That's Taylor Swift. And we love Taylor. So the thing about Taylor is, as you may know, the whole point and reminder here is that even the most successful person, probably on the planet right now, has gone through depression, self-loathing, and really just not even believing in herself. This whole song, Anti-Hero, if you've listened to the words, is all about that, having doubt and uncertainty. And so you could imagine if Tay Tay goes through these feelings, it makes sense that all of us do too. So this is why we remember that we have control over how we show up every day. And when we get clear on our purpose, it will really help us get through these tough times, challenging times, different markets, different uh, life events that go on because we have a reason. So that's enough of her. All right. So a lot of what I'm going to share with you today is just kind of my own journey through how I got to where I am today. I'm not saying I have it all figured out because I definitely do not. I have not arrived. I'm still in growth mode and on this journey of life. But I can look back now. I'm about to have a big birthday, another birthday. I'm glad that I'm having a birthday. But after now 52 years on this earth, you get to realize not to sweat some certain things or what to focus on rather than things that we once thought were important that now we realize just really aren't. It's really cool to have that clarity with just experience in life. But if you're not quite there yet, then like I say, borrow all mine because I've learned so many lessons. But see, back when I was a young person, a long, long time ago, I was totally cool with being average. I was cool with status quo. I didn't even know what status quo meant until later, but I look back and go, oh, yeah, that was me. Now, that is not a bad thing. People can totally live where they want to live. And I think there's a difference. And tell me if you agree. There's a difference between settling in life and being satisfied. Do you see a difference between the two? We can absolutely be satisfied with where we are. That is amazing. But let's just not settle. And so if you're not knowing that there's more for you, you might be settling. That could be a possibility. But I was cool with status quo. Here's the deal. My parents had me very, very, very young, like babies. They were 20 years old with a newborn, and they had just graduated high school. They were just starting their young lives, and then they get to now have a baby to add into that mix. Now, they just had never had role models that had taught them about setting goals, crushing deals, accomplishing all the greatness that their life has, in front of them. They were just taught, and this was also maybe a generational thing, but also a decade thing. It was the very early 70s where people just got a job, clocked in, clocked out. That was it. That was life. And you were just working to survive. So I remember specifically getting a C on a test grade when I was in elementary school. And I remember thinking I was going to get in trouble. And my father, who was absolutely just trying to cheer me up, said, "It's okay, Jennie. A C is average." I'm sure at the time it made me just go, okay, well, there's no repercussions since I thought it was a bad grade, but my parents don't think it's a bad grade. It's just fine. I'm going to be okay in life, just being fine. And believe it or not, I live that way. Luckily, because we know that we are the sum of the people we hang out with, luckily, I played sports and I was active in activities that allowed me to hang out with people who were more purposeful or had parents more with higher standards towards goals and success. And so I got to kind of get pulled through that way. But otherwise, I was totally okay with being average. And I showed up that way. I did just enough to get by, just enough to get by. So that's not what we would teach our children today. We know a lot more about a growth mindset, about continuing to learn no matter what age you are. And so if our daughter does not get C's, but it's not because we would, beat her up or anything, but she has chosen to be the kind of student who gets straight A's, and we appreciate that actually. Now, why I share all of this is because we all have this backstory, but we don't have to be stuck there. And see, when I got into real estate eventually, after being lost through my 20s, my early 20s, finishing high school, going to college, really just going to college because that's what my friend was doing. Just followed my best friend off to the University of Oklahoma. We were roommates. I even picked the same major as her because I truly did not know who I was or what mattered to me. So I might as well just do what she's doing. We can have classes together. Well, that doesn't work for very long because it wasn't in alignment with me and my dreams and my goals. I didn't even know what those were. So that didn't work out. And, many missteps and struggles through figuring myself out. Eventually, long, long, long story. I graduate a long, long time after I should have. And also during those years, I started waiting tables. Now, if you've ever been a server, you know how, and you're also a real estate professional, you know how much of those skills are intertwined. In fact, that's how I have probably been a success in my business is because of the skills I learned when waiting tables. I knew and learned that I was paid in direct proportion to the service that I was giving. If I didn't smile and show up and give great service to the client, they didn't tip me, period. And y'all know you can't live off that 213 an hour or whatever it is today. So I had to get clear because I got into real estate just by default, to be honest. I ran into a friend after I had gotten my master's degree. I'd gotten into a business. I had a job in an HR department doing payroll and benefits. And so I'm sitting behind a desk in an office all by myself all day long from 9 to 5. Now, maybe you are more familiar with the DISC and behavioral assessments and styles, but if you could guess, is Jennie going to be a fit in an office by herself all day long behind a computer? Well, you know the answer. So I was still waiting tables and I ran into a high school friend, miserable in my real job, making $23,000 a year, by the way. I was very excited about that salary. And I'm still waiting tables, obviously, in the evenings, mainly for fun and connection and being with people. And I run into a high school friend and he says, Jennie, he'd just gotten into real estate. You've got to buy a house. And I said, Scott, I can't buy a house. I mean, I know I got this big paycheck and everything, but I'm not quite there yet. And he said, you know what, though? Maybe instead you should just get into real estate. Now, I'm miserable in my job. I enjoy waiting tables, and I'm thinking maybe this could be something. Tell me more. And he said, well, yeah, Jennifer in my office, she made $10,000 last month. I was like, what? Now, this sounds exciting. So I get my real estate license because that was it. I was motivated by money, clearly, and I hated my job. So I get to work. I'm working with the broker, a very small local brokerage in town, and there's only like 5 of us in the whole office. So I'm really getting one-on-one training and learning so much in a short period of time. And later on, Jennifer, I find out that $10,000 she had earned was for the whole year so far. I was duped, and I'm so glad that I was. And I appreciate Scott Foster for getting me into real estate. But why I share all of this, though, is that I was working and working. I made my way back home to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I restarted my real estate business here, my hometown. But I was lost. I didn't have a reason to sell real estate. I wasn't motivated by money. I could just make enough to get by. And I don't know, I just maybe you've ever have felt kind of lost in like the why am I doing this? I talk with lots of real estate agents and I hear it over and over again. But what ended up happening was I finally took this class in 2010. I took this class called Bold. You've probably heard my Bold story because I'm pretty passionate about the lessons that I learned from that class. See, back in 2010, I was a solo agent. 2010, solo agent. My daughter, I had gotten married, have my daughter. She's 3.5 years old. If you remember having a little person or you know what it's like, usually there's just part-time daycare, part-time school. So I was full-time mommy, part-time agent, and I was cool with that. I, of course, knew my daughter was the most important thing in my life, and she still is. But what happened was I take this class called Bold during the day that she has the day out, mommy's day out back then to be on PC. And I have her there and I had to get help from my husband to pick her up because the class went longer than the 2:30 let out time. And I take this class for 7 weeks. And for me, it changed everything. My mindset, it provided me systems and scripts and conversations and structure. And the number one thing it really gave me was accountability. See, I'd always been a team player. I'd played soccer all my life. I was always a cheerleader on a team. And so I was a team player. So if I've got a group of people on my team, I got to show up for them. And that really changed everything. Not only did it make me get uncomfortable and talk to people, I saw the results. I saw the results almost instantly. So in 2010 to 2011, from still a solo agent, I got to help 23 families by myself to 51 families. Now, if you have helped 50 families by yourself in a year, it's a lot. It doesn't even have to be 50. It could be 20. It could be whatever number it is, when it's a lot more than what you're used to, is a lot. My systems weren't in place. Obviously, my mind was a mess. I was chaotic and crazy and running around with my head cut off. And that has probably been where some of you are, where I knew that I wanted to help these families because really the business that was generated came from Bold. It came from me talking to people I knew. It came from me following up with people and being a friend. So of course I wanted to serve them and help them, but of course I want to be a great wife and a mom as well. And so I was torn. And if you've been there, you know that feeling when everything starts shaking and you know the breakdown is on its way. You may not know it in the moment, but you know after because you look back and go, oh crap, that was really rough. That was really tough. And we know on the other side of it is that breakthrough. You bust on through that ceiling of achievement, or you don't and you quit. Those are your choices. And I'm not a quitter. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep going. 24 years in the business. I don't have a backup plan. I don't have a plan B. I got to keep going no matter what's happening in the market. The past 2 years, pretty crappy. Kept going, still going. Y'all are here with me. Let's go. So my breakdown moment was in 2014. And what happened was I then went from 2010 of taking Bold to 2011 of 51 families, 2012, 61 families, 2013, 71 families, mostly by myself. I brought in some admin help and some assistance, but I wasn't a great leader. So I was still doing a lot of the stuff myself, hanging on tight, like we know we do because we're control freaks. And then in 2014, 81 families. In such a short period of time, my production had grown so dramatically, and I was a mess. From the outside, looked all great. I smiled. From the inside, literally dying, and my bank account is zero. See, I was bringing on people to help me, but I was just so messy in my mind and my systems that I didn't properly train them or hold them accountable because it was on me. I was totally take ownership of all of that. So what happens when you are miserable? You don't want to talk to people. Well, your production goes down. And so I had two team members at the time who were agents. I had two administrative help by the time we got to 81 families. And I had two agents that were helping me working with sellers and working with buyers. And I was done. I was burned out. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Well, in March of 2014, that was the day when one of the team members decided to do something that was not in alignment with our team culture. So that one person was let go. And in the same week, my other agent, who'd been with me for a couple years, I knew she had a future dream of moving to the beach. We don't have beaches in Tulsa. So yeah, she was moving to Florida. And she called me up to say, listen, I was talking with my financial planner and I think I'm just going to go ahead and move now. So in the same week, all of the agents on my team left. Of course, that was a moment of woe is me, pity party, sadness. What the heck do I do? I hadn't personally been helping clients for months and months because I was in my breakdown. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to lead generate. I didn't want to help people because I was just a chaotic mess. As you can imagine, that doesn't work for very long. I got to have a pity party. I had the conversation with my coach and then I got into action. And the only thing that I knew that really mattered was that I get back into action and I went back and took bold again 4 times in 2015. Took bold 4 times in 2015, started showing up, started being the best version of myself, and really had some energy and passion around it. But how that all happened was in 2014, before all of these things were crashing down on me, I was at a mastermind event. And this coach asked me, we were sitting around talking about why, our big why. Why are we doing this business? Why are we here? What's the point? And I had no answer for myself. I was embarrassed that I didn't know my big why. Everybody knows their big why. We all live and die by this red book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and the authors say that we got to have a big why, but I didn't have one. So he asked me this $20 million question, and I want to share it with you guys to walk through yourself. You know, you have some room in your workbook or in your notebook, and I'm going to share some things with you, and then I want you to jot some stuff down, whatever pops in your mind, whatever you see in your mind's eye. But the $20 million question was all about envisioning that right now in your bank account, you have $20 million. Now, first off, I can't even say that without smiling because that gives me joy. Like I feel a weight lifted off of me. Man, that is awesome. Okay. All right. But with this $20 million that is just hanging out in your personal bank account, you have also checked all the boxes on your dream destination vacations, on acquiring all of the monetary accessories you've ever dreamt of, whether it's a fancy purse or a nice wardrobe or those cool shoes. But you also have investment properties across the country or across the world. I mean, gosh, maybe an apartment in Paris or a ski house in the mountains or a beach house in, wherever your place is. Belize is really fun, by the way. And so you've traveled all the places, you've acquired all the things, you live in the house you've always dreamt of, in the neighborhood that you always drove through. And in fact, you also give back. You've given back to your community, your church. You help out your friends and your family because you have so much in the bank. You can't even spend it all. So why try? Just give it away. And then the other cool part about this story is that you also are healthy, you're happy, your family is healthy and happy. Life is great. Now I ask you tomorrow when you wake up, what do you do? I'd like you to just jot it down there real quick. What would you do with all of the things I shared being true? Now, maybe some of you've heard me asked this question before and you've worked through it, but I feel like every time I think about it, I think of different things. And that's the fun part about being a learning-based, growth-minded person is that you're here again. You're here for the first time. It doesn't matter. You're here to grow. And so if you're like me, when you wrote that down, maybe you wrote something that you didn't even know was in your heart or in your mind. Or maybe you're just reaffirming something you already knew was true, and this is just your reminder to take action on that. See, the reason that that question helped me at that moment in my breakdown, in my why the heck am I doing this, was because I woke up that next morning alive because I realized what I had learned in these last many years of being with this company and the classes I'd taken and the lessons and all the training I'd had and the coaching, what I learned was that I know now what I didn't know then. And what I know now, I have tools and resources to help my younger self if that was the case. And so that's when it was born that my passion and my purpose are to empower others so that they also discover their possibilities and tap into their potential because I didn't back then. And maybe if someone had done that for me, or I'd taken that one class and learned this certain tool, or asked myself these questions, things could have been a little bit different. Now, of course, can't go back in time. We just need to appreciate that we're still here and we're showing up. We can't change any of the things in the past. But just asking myself this $20 million question really changed it for one reason versus the big why question. For me, this was not about money. Whatever I came up with that morning, the next morning after having the dream and the vision, wasn't about how am I going to make money? Why am I here to make money? It was about what is my purpose on earth. So hopefully you guys got to tap into something that maybe fires you up. I know that I did. Now, with this new idea that is like perked up into your mind and to your spirit, uh, this is what happens. You can have this idea and this vision, but you got to show up with it. So Woody Allen says 80% of success is showing up. Well, how are you going to show up with this? Now you have this idea, this thought. What are you going to do with that? So, like I said, I got the opportunity to get back into business in 2015 after the team members left. I, at this point, already had done the work here. So I knew that I had to refocus myself. That's when I jumped back into the classroom. I knew from my previous experience that bold was my avenue for doing that. So like I said, I took bold over and over and over again. In 2 years, I took bold 7 times, with 5 of those being out of town. So I was traveling 2 hours away 7 times in 2 years. I'd say it made a difference in who I am and how I show up today. So want you just to read this aloud with me, and then kind of think about, what does this mean to me? So Mark Twain says the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. I love always including this quote. You've probably heard it a million times, but I love including this quote in this conversation because it is a miracle that we're even born. It's a true miracle that we were born. And then when we finally get to figure out why it is that we are here on this earth, really everything can change for you. So that's what I want us to do. We're going to envision our big life. We're going to dream beyond what we ever thought was possible, which is what taking bold did for me. If you have ever taken it, you remember the exercise where you envision your future self. You have a conversation with your 80-year-old self, and you are reflecting back on how proud you are of who you are. And many times people cry during that. I always did, because we always know there's more in us than we're actually showing up for, than we're actually putting out there. We know there's more in us. I mean, isn't it interesting that the way that we talk to ourselves in our mind, the way we talk to ourselves, we would never, ever talk to our children or the people we love in that same way. And if you heard somebody talking to those you love in the way that you're talking to yourself right now, you would beat them up. I mean, I'm 5'3" and pretty puny, but I would try. I would try and beat them up. Not really, because I'm all about Mel Robbins' let them theory right now. So I would let them. All right, so you guys get it. You get the idea here. Now, I'm going to dive into some fun exercise that you're going to get into action, because we're talking about showing up and getting into action. So I just wrote all this stuff down one time. So your big why, your mission, and your purpose in life. Your mission is your compass. Think of it that way. It is pointing you in the direction of what matters most. Do you have to have it all figured out right now? No way. We teach this to young adults in Quantum Leap for young adults. It's for 18 to 28-year-olds. And we just teach them the same exercise I'm about to walk you through. And you don't have to have it nailed down and figured out today, but it needs to be moving you toward that future that you are living your purpose. All right, knowing your mission ensures you are appropriate in the moment, and it acts as a filter for what you say yes and what you say no to. I've gotten really great at saying no. Usually my first response would be a no, and then I may think through the opportunities and change it, but only after it is filtered through, is this in alignment with my purpose, my mission, my values, my goals, and my dreams? That is the only way I'm going to say yes. All right, high achievers are all working toward a big why. It is about having a purpose, a mission, a need, in turn that gives you focus. And high achievers have a big why powering their actions. This is from MREA. You've probably read these words before. Okay. Now, couple tips before we dive into the actual exercise that you are going to come up with your own personal mission statement, is that we like to remind everyone there's a difference. So you have a goal and you have a mission, and they are different. They are different. A goal has a specific result and it can be completed. Did I achieve that goal? You check the box, you mark it off. I did it, yes or no. Your mission. Sounds really big and daunting and scary, but it's not. It's a beautiful thing because your mission actually is your life's purpose. It's always in progress. It keeps moving just like you. You will never, ever complete your mission in life. It doesn't have an end date or a desired result, but you can have goals along the way of living your mission, if that makes sense. Hope it does. All right, now you're ready because you've got your workbook here and you've got room. On page 2 there, it says, are you ready to discover the power of your purpose and to create your own personal mission statement? Are y'all ready? I can see some of you. Let me see some smiles and high fives. Let's do this. All right, there you go. Okay, this is the exercise, and you've seen this before. Some of you that are my QL friends and who also teach and share this good information with others. So this might be just tapping back into it and reaffirming your mission. But step 1, we only have 3 total steps, so don't fear. We're almost through already. Now, today we're going to write your mission statement, but remember, I have to give this disclaimer. Today you're just dating. You are not marrying this mission statement today because some of you, I know you have a behavioral style that likes things perfect now. And that's not what's going to happen today. Today is thinking and masterminding and brain dumping what all is in your mind and in your heart. So get cool with it being a little messy for now. Okay. If you've done this before, maybe you get to clean it up a little bit or adjust some of your words. Okay. Number 1, you've got some spaces there and you've got your prompts. I'm giving you a second. You get to think and you get to write this down. So first, you're just going to identify what you're already connected to. What topics or groups, communities are you drawn to? Who or what is most important to you? What causes are you most passionate about and why? And what impact do you desire to have on others or on the world? I'm giving you a sec here. Okay, of course, you can come back to this later and keep thinking through it, but I got to move on for now. So step 2 is then uncovering your unique gifts. So what are you already great at? What comes naturally to you? What is easy? What is just in your style of who you are? And what I think is most important is what gives you energy and it fires you up. It fuels you personally. And is there something that you would do even if you weren't paid to do it? Like me, here today, hanging out. I'm doing what I love. So giving you a sec on that. Okay, well, you probably are pretty clear about your own unique gifts. Sometimes we fumble over this because we're afraid to brag on ourselves. So if you need to, maybe write a note like, what would those who know and love me most, what would they say about me? And sometimes you might need to go ask them, like, what are my unique gifts? Because see, now we have this little equation here, because if you take step one and you add it to step two, this will help you to build your personal mission. So this would be step three, right? You're going to take the combination. So you'll write this sentence down, and you've got it at the bottom page two of your workbook. The mission for my life is, and then you would insert what you thought of for step number one, something that you have a passion for, a group or people, an organization that you're passionate about. And then you would do it by implementing or through this unique gift, this talent that you have. So it's going to be kind of hodgepodge together today. It might not flow perfectly. It doesn't have to flow exactly in this formula, but this is just a way to help you kind of tap into what matters to you. Because when you have this clarity, things become clear. Clarity, clear. That's right. Okay, so this is what my mission statement is today. I have 10 versions at least in the notes section of my phone. It started out as one, then another, over time, eventually changing and evolving into what it is today. But today I can actually chant it and cheer it because it is truly what I believe my mission is. It's to empower others, y'all, to believe in your possibilities, because I had to figure out how to believe in mine, and to tap into your potential because you have so much that may not be discovered yet, and to allow you to see that you can start living your life and your purpose today. Don't wait for it. Don't wait for it. And then how I do that is through teaching and speaking and sharing all these lessons I've learned over the years. So I don't know if you think that sounds like me, but that's how I feel, at least, is my mission. It's my purpose. When I get to help others see what they might not be seeing in themselves. And what I was going to say with this Pablo Picasso quote is we got to get into action. This is great to dream it, but we actually have to do something about it. And whenever you get clear on what matters most, it's easier to go in that direction. You get to actually live your life on your terms. And that is really fun and exciting. Okay, so we'll go to this next slide, which is, I love this graphic, and you've probably seen it before. So what this means to me, this is the iceberg analogy. I'm gonna put my phone right here. You guys can see me, hope so. Can you see me as well? Am I here? Oh, okay, cool. All right. So on this iceberg analogy, what I love about it was when I finally discovered some cool pieces that maybe you hadn't noticed before. Of course, you see from the wording and the graphics that your purpose is at the bottom. Your purpose is underneath the water, unseen by all. It's inside of you. It's what you guys just were tapping into in your mission statement exercise. The cool part is that when you understand your purpose, you apply priority to that purpose. So if you want to write beside priority, actions, activities, tasks, when you are clear on your purpose, you will do the things, actions, activities, getting into motion, the priorities that will allow you to live that purpose. And then bust up above the water is your productivity. This is what the world sees. These are the results. So if you happen to be in real estate, like me, what do we see as the productivity? You see the results of me living my purpose, applying proper priority that allows me to have production like transactions, gross commission income, people that we get to serve. So think of it that way. Everything starts, as you know, with our purpose and it builds up from there. So this is why, if you are having the grind of and the frustration of productivity, like you're doing deals, but you're not finding passion in it, you're getting burned out, you're grumpy, no joy, then pause and take some steps backwards and look underneath the water. Underneath the water is your purpose first, then rebuild it. Then that is exactly what happened to me, so that when I was having that time of burnout, it was because I hadn't yet figured out my why, my purpose. I hadn't had the aha moment of, if I just teach, give back, share, and care, I will have more joy in picking up the phone and talking to buyers and sellers, because then whenever I get to earn a commission, it allows me to give back to my community. It allows me to live a beautiful life with my family. So yeah, this graphic could just be something you look at, or maybe now you look at it a little differently. Because on the right side, you'll read there with me, if you have purpose without applying priority, it's just powerless. What's the point? So what you see is determined by what you don't. So make sure that your business is built on you, on what you love, on what you like to do. Now we'll just go on to the next slide, which is time waits for no one. Now, I'm not going to read to you. I usually enjoy reading, but I'm going to spare you today. But it's right from the One Thing. And Gary tells the story about, you probably remember it, is the husband and wife, they're waiting until retirement to travel. And all the years she was collecting patterns and materials to make her travel clothes. Well, of course, life happens and she passes away. Now, husband has to go through this closet full of all of these memories of travels they never took. See, because they were waiting, and we just don't know when our time is up. Time waits for no one. We don't know. So if you remember, you've probably heard this before. We talk about it in Quantum Leap and even the 6 personal perspectives, is when the traditional way of doing life, and this is definitely in generations gone by, they were very focused on first having their learning years. So you go to school, and then you go to get a job, your earning years, and then you retire and you play, your playing time. Well, who says you get that time? Let's fold in the learning, the earning, and the playing all together now, so that we get to live this amazing life and enjoy it along the way and be with the ones that we love most. So, all right, this last slide here is that, you know what, this is your reminder. It's yours. Just own it, love it, and live it. And now get to work, make it happen. Thank you guys for letting me share all of this with you, and I am available. If we have any questions, we have a couple more slides here that we'll send to you and share with you. If you're not already in my Facebook group, make sure that you join so we can hang out. There's one slide. We'll send these over to you to make sure you can connect. And then also, if you found some joy in this conversation, then I do have a membership group called Momentum. We're always accepting great agents to join us, and you get a little bit more, a little bit me, all this stuff. And also, we do have a free class coming up next month. It's called Restful Success. It's all about sleep. I love sleeping. All right, well, I appreciate you guys. And so reach out, let me know if you need anything, and I'll see you guys later.